Welcome back to another issue of the best VHS cover art, the best horror posters that you would see back in your local family mom and pop, the video section that would make you just kind of skip a beat, maybe walk a little bit too fast by them. Horror covers that would just kind of like intrigue you but also kind of freak you out. Some of the best that I've ever seen, and the first one here is a mid-80s classic, kind of a family, I don't know, there's something weird about Waxwork that feels kind of coming of age, also feels kind of like a movie that is good for kids even though it's got a little bit of everything: perversion, sexuality, horror, comedy, romance, a little bit of gore, extremeness. It's got everything, man, and that's what's cool about the mid-80s. Waxwork is so much fun. It's kind of the sum of all of its parts when you think about horror in the 80s, and some of my favorite scenes in horror have to do with the werewolf and that transformation, the vampire Dracula scene that you just seen right there. Waxwork is one hell of a great horror movie, man. It's campy, it's fun, it's got a little bit for everybody. Now, Waxwork 2, that's a cool movie in its own right, but really when it comes to the Waxwork franchise, part 1 is the best, and I would pick this cover up over and over and just be obsessed with this little fella on the cover, want to know everything about it, and I'm happy that it lives here on this list. Coming in at number 22 is a 1985, I guess technically it's a horror sci-fi. Really, when I think of the stuff, it's best as kind of thinking of it as a double feature that would be so good with like The Blob, right? The Stuff is 1985, horror sci-fi, Larry Cohen, one hell of a good horror film, regardless of what you want to categorize it at. The Stuff is a nature, it's a deadly living organism, it's addictive, it's destructive, and it is one lick, one bite, one little crap, whatever, however you get the stuff in you, you can't get enough. And I had an obsession with the stuff as a little kid. I thought it was just so interesting, and I almost feel like I seen a horror kind of standee for this, or maybe it was like the double stuffed Oreos. For whatever reason, I would always see things like the stuff and the product placement, man, and it just reminds me of being a kid in the 80s, and I love this fucking movie so much. It's got Paulie from Goodfellas. It's got some of the best like body horror and special effects. It's absolutely incredible the whole time, the whole way. I can never get enough of the stuff, and really I don't think you should either. The Stuff is one hell of a great horror cover. Love to see it on this list right here. Go get you some of the stuff. Now, coming in at number 23 is one of my favorite horror films of all time from one of my favorite horror writers, directors, painters, everything. Clive Barker is one. He's on another realm, man, when it comes to horror. Reading his stuff as a kid was amazing, but when I first walked into a high school pharmacy, which was this like half pharmacy, half place where you could buy like things for your home, and they always had like a crazy physical media section, and I remember the first time I seen the Hellraiser cover. Hellraiser completely blew my mind as a little kid. I thought there was an actual demon inside of this VHS, and so I would pick it up and I would stare at the lament box, I would stare at the box, I would flip it over, I would just become obsessed with this, and I would read the title about the future of horror, I would look at the back, and I just loved everything about Hellraiser. It scared me so bad as a kid, and when I actually watched the movie a couple of years later, I thought Hellraiser was just the best, ultimate of all time. Love Hellraiser. At number 24 is the first mention of Lucio Fulci on this list, and we are talking about House by the Cemetery. Now, I don't know for my money if there is really a better cover in horror where you've got that knife coming up and you've got the crazy house on the back, the knife, the house, it's so damn good, man. Fulci has this way of really kind of unnerving the audience with the way that he zooms in, focuses on eyes, other body parts. He will use like explicit gore, explicit sexuality. He will kind of like take things that are supposed to be safe, and like a lot of the Italian horror films, just really like make it perverse and in your face and shocking and descriptive. And there's something so amazing about House by the Cemetery. For a long time, I thought that it was kind of boring, and maybe I felt like even the kid would just get on my nerves a little bit. Good old Bob Mickey Mouse there. But for whatever reason, as I got older, I thought that, man, House by the Cemetery fucks. House by the Cemetery is one of like, it's just a classic New England kind of haunted house, and I love everything about it, from the music to even the acting, the directing, obviously the gore, the way that they zoom in on things, and the way that the blood is just kind of like when the knife hits that floor and the blood just splatters and it's just this gnarly ass red. I love the cover, I love the director, I'm obsessed with Fulci, you already know this. House by the Cemetery fucking rips. Coming in at number 25 on this list is our first kind of creature feature, if you will. This is a 1976 PG, parental guidance, mind you, a PG film that has tons of gore, tons of violence, a little bit of sexuality, crazy good music, giant like crane shots, animal attack stuff, really, really awesome. We're talking about, of course, William Girdler's 76 horror adventure, Grizzly. Now, just by the cover alone, I would avoid this film. I love creature features. I was a huge fan of Jaws, but when you're trying to rent horror movies and trying to scare your cousins in a tent, most of the time we were camping. And so I would go to the Mossy Rock Campground video store and I would walk by Grizzly and it would just freak me out. Right there on the cover, what does it say? Like 16, 18 feet of towering fury. Grizzly, dude, is such a good movie, actually. And this really needs like the Vinegar Syndrome, the second sight treatment. Anybody, man, somebody put this thing out in a chunky box. Give me Grizzly. I actually love this fucking movie. I love part 2. I'm such a sucker for creature features, and Grizzly is always up there on my list. Love this cover. Coming in at number 26. Really, when I'm doing these, you get to hear me say the F word a lot because I really, and I mean really, fucking love Lucio Fulci, okay? The second instance from him from this list, we are talking about Gates of Hell or City of the Living Dead, whichever one you prefer. I always seen the Gates of Hell, right, with that crazy face on the cover, and I was always so intimidated to rent this film. Dude, I'm such a massive fan of this film. I love everything about this fucking movie, from like the story, the New England ghost tale, right from when they're like burying that girl alive and she's knocking on the fucking coffin, to like the underground, the crypts, the eye stuff, the bleeding eyes, the spitting up the guts. There's something so menacing and so absolutely terrifying and perfect about Fulci films. If you haven't figured out by now, dude, I fucking love the master of gore, Fulci. Hope you're sitting down. We got our foot directly on the gas pedal. We're going for it now. At number 27, Cruel, Barbaric, Authentic, a film that everybody thought was real. This was one of those VHSs that scared me. So, I mean, besides the Blair Witch, which I also thought was real, I thought that this was one of the craziest, most twisted, like a movie that once you watch it, we're talking about, of course, Cannibal Holocaust, Deodato, absolute masterpiece. I think this is an unbelievable film, but like I said, once you watch this film, there's really no going back. This is a perfect film, and I'm a big champion of Cannibal Holocaust. The cover, there's multiple ones that were like not video store safe. The one that I rented, where you have to pay a deposit, it had the woman with the spear going through her whole body. There was the nudity on the cover, and I remember having to write on the yellow slip, I will return Cannibal Holocaust or you will charge me $75 and give me my money back, right? Absolutely incredible fucking movie, man. Deodato was just so ahead of his time, trying to use like found footage and trying to kind of have like a film within a film, dude. Unbelievable gore, unbelievable music, actually. I love everything about this fucking movie, dude. I can watch it a couple of times a year. I give away copies of it. If you've never seen it, hit me up, dude. I love Cannibal Holocaust. I'm talking love this film. It's probably my favorite found footage film next to the Blair Witch Project. Cannibal Holocaust. Perfect. Now at number 28, we are talking about a film that is made on a measly $35,000 budget. Okay, from director Frank Henenlotter of Frankenhooker fame, right? He's done a bunch of those kind of sleazy, grimy New York fucking cop kind of movie. I'm talking about Basket Case. I'm talking Basket Case, horror comedy, you know, more akin to something like The Blob or The Stuff, that kind of also feels like a coming of age movie in so many ways. Perfect gore, great soundtrack, shot on, I mean, it looks so grainy, it looks so gnarly, it looks so nasty, but it's just like still kind of fun. There's a ton of comedic value to this movie, man. I remember picking up that VHS and I would walk the aisle and be like, what is in the basket? Dude, I gotta know. I gotta rent this and find out. And then as I got older and watched it more often, it was on TNT Monster Vision all the time. Joe Bob Briggs would always talk about it. So I've watched Basket Case a ton of times and it just never gets old. There's something like so charming and so kind of like whimsical to this nasty, dirty little like New York film that's made on such a paltry budget. It's just fun. I love the gore, man. I love everything about it. Like, it's cheesy, it's hokey, but it's kind of ours as horror fans. And I think we need to protect movies like this. There's not a lot of great movies that come out, especially like this. Basket Case fucking rocks. Coming in at number 29. If I'm speaking real fast, I apologize. I only give myself like a minute to 2 minutes on some of these trailers, and when there's some of my favorite movies, it's hard to cram all my thoughts, but it's kind of fun to do this. And of course, we're talking about the original camp slasher, 1980s horror, just breakout hit, Friday the 13th. Not the directorial debut from director Sean S. Cunningham. He'd actually done a couple before that, but this was his breakout hit. Friday the 13th is one hell of a great horror movie. This kind of created the entire slasher genre, really, for me. Like, this was just something like every time you would pick one up, there would be something new about every Friday the 13th movie. And what's so cool about that whole series is pretty much every one of them has an iconic piece of art. Up until about like past Manhattan, I still think Jason Goes to Hell is killer, but those first like 7 or 8, dude, are so fucking awesome. Final Chapter I have tattooed. There's Be a Great Reason to Get the New Blood tattoo, right? They all like change the shape of horror each time a new one comes out, similar to A Nightmare on Elm Street. I think it's just one of the best horror franchises, and I can't get enough of this film. I can't get enough of the way that it's shot, the tension, the mood, the scope, the music, of course, Crazy Ralph. All of these tropes that we know now, we deserve to know about them because Friday the 13th ran when, you know what I mean? Like, when others were walking, we couldn't do that without Friday the 13th. I just totally did that backwards, but you feel me? Right? We wouldn't have horror the same way if it wasn't for films like Friday the 13th. I know Jason isn't in it. I know he's just drowning. I know there's the best jump scare almost of all time at the very end in the fucking lake. I know every single scene of this film, and every time it's Friday the 13th, I watch it, no matter what. I watch about 3 or 4 every Friday the 13th, and I always start with one because you got to give it up to a legend. You got to give it up to an original. You got to give it up for someone that's a trendsetter, man. I'm out of breath just thinking about this film. I want to say so many more things. The poster is iconic with the knife. The fucking lettering's perfect. The woods, the campers, everything about this film, man. Where were you when he was drowning, right? Every single scene. Kevin Hot Dog, right? Of course, Kevin Bacon gets to come in, but it's got crazy nudity. It's got the snake. It's got fucking everything, dude. The archery, the back cover, but that front cover, man, walking through videotape stores, this was it for me. Friday the 13th, all day. And now at number 30, talking about it for the first time on my channel in almost 2 years, we are talking about John Carpenter's #1 film ever. Okay? This is a remake of a film, sort of, but when we're talking about one of the greatest horror covers of all time, I would walk by The Thing. And I remember the bottom of that tape always said the ultimate in alien terror. Okay, so is it a horror film? Is it an alien sci-fi film? It's both. You don't think Alien is an actual horror film? Get the fuck out of here. I don't talk about The Thing on my channel because I don't fuck with excellence, okay? If I don't have anything new to add to this, there's no reason to try to break it down and be some fucking douchebag on YouTube that talks about their favorite movie. Kurt Russell's best role, I think, ever as MacReady, and then maybe Snake Plissken. Fucking, I don't even know what to tell you, man. It's got the greatest jump scare of all time when they're doing the blood, right? When fucking dudes going into the cavity and the fucking, that shit comes out is amazing. When they can't figure out who's who. I fucking wanted to drink fucking J&B scotch because of fucking MacReady. I've watched this film so many times. I can watch it pretty much every other month, especially in the winter months. I have it memorized. I have crazy thoughts on it, but I'm just not interested in sharing them because I don't think that things that are so perfect and so well done really just deserves me talking about it. So, a crazy great acting, man. It's got fucking Wilford Brimley. It's got Keith David. It's got, of course, Kurt Russell. It's got fucking everybody. I love the isolation. I love how the dog scene, right, when you got to first find those huskies, scared me so bad as a kid. I remember bringing that down and putting that on the tape in the basement. When those dogs turned, man, scared the living fucking piss out of me and my cousin. I've been obsessed with The Thing ever since. Tons of gore, crazy special effects, absolutely ahead of its time. I have a whole fucking arm sleeve dedicated to The Thing, and I'm never going to talk about it on this channel unless I do a long breakdown with some of my friends. The Thing, I love you. You guys take care. Have a great Christmas.